is I have a Pembroke Welsh Corgi and a Siamese cat. And I used to hear footsteps go across my attic. Well, my attic is all insulated, but there is no floor. And it sounded like someone just walking, okay? I mean, step by step. And I thought I was the only one hearing this until I noticed that my cat and my dog, the hair was standing up, and they were both, one was hissing and one was growling, looking up there. So I said, it's not just me, you know? So I said, after a while, I got to the point where I just thought it was funny.
I don't have those problems.
At all?
No, because I guess maybe I'm the stronger one. It's like, this can't happen. The only problem I ever had is if Linda gave me a disc that she copied from her computer. Whatever she copied that was nonsense, like little X's and O's instead of lines, that's what I got because it came off her computer. Mm-hmm. But my computer didn't do it. My electricity didn't do it because I wasn't bothered by the spirits.
Wow.
I mean, they were bothered by the spirits.
We were convinced it was the spirits at that time.
The only thing that I can say is I knew that it was Maria Prouty's spirit that was pushing us to do this. I understood that. But the bad spirits never bothered me to stop me because I guess I just wasn't afraid of that. I had no fear of it.
Now, we've talked about coincidences in were the deaths all coincidences, that they were all ruled suicides and they were all found around 6 o'clock. But there are more coincidences regarding the gun in your home, and you grew up in the house of one of the victims.
Yes. And he was also shot dead center in the forehead, and the gun was never recovered.
Now, is this, does your family still own this house? Or
Yes, they do.
Has there ever been any instances of, I don't know, paranormal activity that happened in the house?
If there is, my mom and dad would never speak of it. No matter what happened, even since the book came out, I've asked my mother, and she won't talk about it.
It's intriguing. The whole story, the whole thought is very intriguing. Before we do go, I do want to briefly touch on the cemetery where you guys went to. This was, I believe, the second trip where you were there were two instances. There was one where you were holding onto a grave. Mm-hmm. I guess you had lost your footing and you had grabbed onto a grave that just happened to have been, I guess, the mother of Henry Hammond.
Yes.
Nichols.
Nichols.
And at that moment,
I could feel someone screaming out, help me, help me. And I didn't understand the message at the time. And then the more we researched, I understood exactly what she was saying.
She was telling you that he didn't commit suicide.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But I didn't want to get into that because I don't want to leave the plot out.
Right. And there are certain things we are leaving. If the story seems a bit sketchy, it's because we're trying to leave it up to if you are interested and you feel compelled to find out about it yourself. We don't want to give everything away, obviously. But you didn't know it was until you looked down and noticed the relationship of the stone.
I had no idea.
And there was another instance where you were standing on. Maybe that was.
No, at the Hammond gravesite.
You were standing on a grave,
mm-hmm. which
was
Henry Hammond's.
Right. And this happened. What was your experience with that?
It's leading into this is I was coming down I-190,
mm-hmm.
okay, Maryland and and for some strange reason, there became, believe this or not believe it, but blackbirds, and I'm going to call them crows, okay, just came right over the top of our car, and I couldn't see. I had to literally pull over, and I was shaken by the incident. And the whole way when I was driving, now at this point I didn't even know that we were headed towards, we were going to the Hammond grave. It isn't what we were out visiting someone. And as we was driving, something kept saying to me, go to Hope Cemetery, take a right, take a left, and take another left. So I told this to Marilyn. Marilyn said, do you know how big that cemetery is? It's like 5 blocks. I said, Marilyn, trust me, I'm going to get you right there. I drove in, I took a left, I drove down a little ways, I took a left, I took another left. I looked up, Marilyn will tell you, there sits a crow right at the gravesite of Henry Hammond. I said, there it is. I mean, people, I don't know. Again, you know, you're talking to people that didn't believe, but the more things started to happen.
Messengers. They get you there in the wildest ways. And you got to wonder, in that instance, and that's why I think the crow is such an interesting bird. It's frightening in its description, but when it gets you there, it's almost helpful in a way to get you there. Hi, you're on The Experience.
Hi, I had a question for the panel.
Okay.
I was wondering if there's been any kind of official acknowledgement about the story that they told in this book, or about their experiences as a group. The town people, descendants of these people, has anybody come forward and said, yes, this is true, we've heard stories about this when we were kids, or somebody, a newspaper person, anything like that?
Well, interesting you bring up a newspaper person. Don't get mad, I'm going to disconnect you, but we're going to answer this in the conversation, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the call. Actually, these clippings that you had found, they were all from the same writer of the Worcester Telegram then?
Right.
Yes.
And he was basically following around the detective, chronicling this whole event.
Yes.
And
Will McDonald
was ready to release a expose on the entire thing at the very end, and was pulled at the last minute.
It was silenced, as everything in town had been.
By his editor,
Yes.
and that was it. So there was a lot of documentation.
Oh, the deaths all occurred, and they occurred as we say they did. The only difference between the way what they said was that they're claiming they were suicides,
Right.
and we're claiming that they were not.
Right.
Yeah, all the newspaper articles
Articles.
we tried
Articles.
were in the book
They're
as we
documented.
found them. It's documented.
As well as actual pages of
Funeral ledgers.
funeral ledgers.
Everything is there.
What makes this book unique?
Death certificates and all that other fun stuff. It's all in here.
The deaths are all documented.
as word for word, literally, and the sketches of the families, pictures of the home, of the gun, of the psychic, one particular psychic, Teddy Rabouin. How do you pronounce the name?
Rabouin.
Rabouin. And it's intriguing because the see, I was thinking the same thing too. I thought for sure that there must have been one descendant in the village that might have been, look, we really don't want this, is a shame, and that wasn't the case.
Never happened.
No, it has not
Never
happened.
And the interest still seems to be very strong in the book,
Yes.
because it's actually been optioned for a film.
Yes.
Which is, I think, really wonderful, especially with the when you have movies like the Blair Witch Project and stuff coming out. I think that's fabulous that something like this could be brought onto the screen for that. I think it would be a fascinating film. As far as true to life goes, the historical essence of the book is intriguing in itself. And you add your experiences into it, which is what brought you here to my show, because normally for people who just kind of find a gun and experiencing all this stuff is kind of bizarre, at least. It's a fascinating book. I enjoyed reading it.
Thank you.
It doesn't take long at all. You've done a great thing coming out here and joining me tonight for this show.
Thank you.
I wish you continued success on the book, on the movie, the possible movie. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about it, the book is called Deliver Us from Evil, and it's available at Barnes & Noble. You can find it at Amazon.com. If you'd like to email them or email me, I'll address it to them. You can do so. experience@fatv.org. And thank you very much. Next week, urban massage therapy here on The Experience. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night.